I stay wise. I live my life. I stay strong. I stay wise. I live my life. I stay strong. I stay wise. I live my life. While we wait.
Hello. Arbitrary's Bryant here, and I am the host of While We Wait. I am absolutely incredibly excited again about having our guest on today. She is a return guest because you asked for her. So, back by popular demand, we have Dr. Tiffany Renee Jackson coming on today to talk about the power of discipline. And this is just so apropos for me in this season of my life because everything I'm doing right now weighs in heavily on discipline and focus and passion and making it happen, grit, that whole piece. So I'm really excited about today. I hope you all are well. I hope all things are well. I am very happy about it being springtime. And even though things are not back and it won't go back to normal as we've known it, but I'm just happy to see some more sunshine and the weather is calming down. And even with the rain and it's a little gray outside, I will take it because I'm still alive and I'm doing well. And I hope you are as well. I hope that you will like and share today's segment of the power of discipline. This is going to be really good. If you're working to accomplish anything in your life, across the board, you need discipline. So I hope that you will share this with someone. If you're on YouTubers, I hope you will grab that link and send it to someone. You can put it in their text it to their cell phones, or you can like and share on Facebook. I want to invite you next week, which is April 8th, to my online birthday celebration. It's an online celebration of life and joy. I love being alive. I love laughing. I love life. I love love. I love family. I love people. I love you. So you are invited next Thursday, April 8th. My birthday is actually on April 9th, but on April 8th, because I come on Thursdays, I'm inviting you to While We Wait. It will be an afternoon filled with music, with entertainment. There will be some dancers. You know how I do. There'll be a couple of people singing. There'll be a DJ. And the only thing I wish that I could share food with you, but since I can't, we'll do what we can. But please feel free to pop on and enjoy about 45 minutes of good times. You never know. You might win a giveaway. I love giving. So you may be the one that will get a gift on my day of celebration. So again, that's next Thursday, April 8th, 4:30 right here on While We Wait. And then on the following Thursday, April 15th, I will have three maestros coming on: Julian Varner, Colin Haywood Jr., and Michael Lloyd. They are coming on, and we're going to talk about talent never being enough. Talent is never enough. I'm hoping that you will share this information with young musicians, young singers. You can be gifted, but just being gifted alone is not enough. There's so much more that goes with it in order for you to be successful. And today's topic really just sets us up for that particular segment. And I'm so excited about that. So pop on April 15th. Talent is never enough. Not just in the arts, whatever your talent is. Talents and giftings are more than just being a singer or a dancer. There are so many gifts. God is so vast that He's given all of us gifts, and none of them look the same. So come on and let's talk. That's April 15th at 4:30. All right. Okay, we are ready. And please let me say that we are sending our heartfelt condolences to Michelle Perry, who is normally up here as my co host. Her grandmother transitioned at 99 years young. So, Michelle, we are sending love. We're sending thoughts of comfort and thoughts of peace. I know that you were very close to your grandma, and I am praying for you. And we'll see you really soon. At this time, without further ado, we are going to bring on none other than the doctor, Tiffany Jackson in the house. Hey, hey.
Hey,
Looking beautiful.
Thank you.
And happy belated birthday. I think our birthdays are like 14 days apart, something like I know they're close. But happy belated birthday to you. This is a special one, and you look amazing.
Thank you, sis. Thank
You're so welcome.
you.
You are so welcome. I have to tell you that I went back and watched the segment the first time you came on.
Mm-hmm.
And going back and watching it, I was absolutely blown away. I was like, wow, she was on here dropping bombs, like so much wisdom that, so I wrote down a couple of things. So I'm going to let you just flow, but I have a couple of things that I want to just, I definitely want to talk about. One of the things is you were talking about when you began to get into fitness. You said, follow the plan. I believed that it will work, and you accomplished that. And that was just so powerful because you need a plan. You have to have a plan. I was just sharing with you backstage that I started intermittent fasting, and it's something that I didn't really want. But you really have to get your head straight for whatever you're going to do. Like you got to build yourself up mentally. And not just jump into something because you won't hold on to it. But you said so much. You talked about transformation. You talked about accomplishing. And then you said, I thought I was disciplined. And something else very powerful. You said, you had to learn how to live in discomfort for purpose. That was super powerful because there's another young lady that she's a Nigerian young lady that I came upon, and she talks about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you want to accomplish anything, that's something you really have to embrace. You said discomfort became your superpower. That's incredible. That's incredible. And then you talked about passion is like energy. Your passion is what fuels you. And then you said this is one of the most fruitful times for you. So I just wanted to pull out, those are just a few things that I jotted down from the last segment when we had you on here. And I was going to bring you back anyway, but I was really excited about those that reached out to me. And thank you, viewers. Thank you for being on today. Thank you for your feedback. You do encourage me because sometimes I'm like, okay, well, maybe I won't do it this week. And then somebody will say something. And then the other thing is I committed because Mr. C.L. King said, you can't stop until you do at least 100 segments. So I'm nowhere near that. So I got to keep it moving. But Tiff, listen, Tiff, go ahead. Let us have it. Let's talk about the power of discipline.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, love, for having me.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's such a beautiful honor. And it also is a privilege to be able to share life lessons with the people of God, with people, with students, with administrators. I've been so blessed lately. I've been doing a lot of public speaking. And it's been a magical time because I've had to accept that this is a calling on my life to share lessons, not only with things that I went to school to study, like you said earlier. There's more than just music and singing. There's so many other things that make us who we are. So it's just a privilege to be in that space. So I wanted to say that when I think of the word discipline, first we have to be motivated to be disciplined.
Yes.
Right. And the root word to motivation is motive.
Okay.
And our motive is our why. It is our why, WHY. It's our why. It's our purpose. It's our reason. Right. So the idea of being disciplined unto itself is important. But if you don't have a motive or a motivation, right, or your why, right, then you may fall short.
Yes.
So I think it's important before we aspire to do anything, to ask ourselves, why is that important, or why is that necessary? And I love the term necessary. One of my friends on my bodybuilding team years ago called me necessary diva.
That's who you are.
Right. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to explore that, because that's how she saw me.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of necessary, I think of something that is essential, right?
Yes.
That needed, that is important, right? That's valid, right? So, I had to go and cop the .com, the .net, and all of that.
Okay.
In my LLC, I was like, okay, necessary diva, we're gonna brand this and see what that is. We even went and we got somebody to create a logo.
Yes, love it, love it.
So when you know your why, then it'll be much easier for you to adhere to a plan or to being disciplined. So my why, when I decided to join the gym over 11 years ago, and to really think about not just the working out, not just the workout piece, but the discipline of food.
Yes.
That was a new experience for me.
Especially because we love it and everything is centered around it. Celebrations, family time. We get together in covenant to eat. So, yeah.
Yeah, and food is a physiological needs, right? So as human beings, we do have physiological needs. We have our needs for, safety, our needs to feel a certain level of accomplishment and self-esteem. We have a need to feel as if we belong, as if we're being loved, right? And then we have physiological needs, and food is one of those things.
Yes.
So we have to have it to live and to survive.
Absolutely.
The trick with that is when there is a deeply psychological conditioning for why we eat what we eat. Because when I consult with my clients, that's what I ask them. Like, why are you in the state you're in? Whether it is they don't have enough muscle mass, whether it is that their BMI is too high. So I start digging into psychologically, why are you who you are? Why are you, conditioned the way you are? What did you learn growing up? What were your practices, and what were some of your traditions? And that's all tied into why we do what we do. That's all tied into motive or motivation.
Yes, got it.
Okay. So therefore, if we're not quite sure what our conditioning is, what our social conditionings are, or what our cultural conditionings are, and how they may or may not be helping us, then we have to think about some shifts, some changes,
Yes.
recast and to retell, right? And let me think, I'm going to try to give a specific example.
Okay.
Well, in my family, when it came to food, we used to go out and have big dinners every Sunday after church. Every Sunday. It was Thanksgiving every single Sunday. Right? What we going to eat? Well, who cooking? So either my mother, Sister Jackson, would do all the cooking, And I realized that we didn't necessarily get together for the food. Some people probably, but we loved each other.
Yes.
And we didn't want that love to stop after church. We wanted to continue that. Right? But what I've learned when it comes to discipline, sometimes you need to just go to church and go home.
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Sometimes we need to just go for a particular reason, right? A raison d'etre. We need to go for a reason to be. And then we need to say, I'll see y'all later. I have some things to do. So one of the principles of discipline is understanding boundaries, is understanding the importance of time and how we're using our time. And are we being frivolous with our time,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Are we being in a space where it's not really building us up during the time when we really need it most, right? So I started instantly leaving places sooner.
Okay.
Tiff, where you going? Oh, I got a lot of work to do. And it was true, but I understood that sometimes I had to limit the way I was spending my time, even
Mm,
with family.
understood.
Because if you have goals and everybody else is not goal oriented, and
I'm
you're
hearing you.
spending a lot of time with folks who are not goal oriented, you love them, whether it's family, friend, or foe. But you gotta be like, I love y'all, but I'll see y'all later. I got things to do, right? So yeah, that's one piece of it, love, is just you have to know your boundaries,
Yeah.
time limitations, and when enough is enough.
And
That
all
means
of that is tied into being healthy, which we just think is just eating, but who you're spending your time with, because there are some people, family otherwise, it can just be toxic or just totally unhealthy for, and it could be for a season or
yeah,
so it is all tied in. Just hearing what you're saying, it is tied into what's healthy for you.
yes, what is healthy for you. And that could mean being alone. It could mean being solitary,
Mm-hmm.
which is antithetical to our human needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we need as people, we need community,
Absolutely.
right? We need to feel like we belong. We need to feel like we're being loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you are all of a sudden practicing this idea of, okay, I have a goal and I need to resituate myself, then you have to self-regulate, you have to exercise self-control and determination and drive. And that could mean that's a lonely walk.
Mm. And I just want to interject right there, and you're absolutely correct. I just wanted to interject right there, but even being alone, you still have to have healthy thinking, because if you're withdrawing
Mm,
to kind of pull the covers over your head, that goes into an unhealthy vein. So
yes.
we're still dealing with the whole healthy thing, the mindset. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm just thinking as you're speaking, and I'm loving it. Fadette is over here concurring with cultural conditioning.
In other words, Black people stuff.
Okay.
You're right, sis. And thank you for interjecting on that. Yes, if you isolate yourself, don't isolate yourself for the reasons of fear,
Mhm.
right? And when it comes to discipline, fear is not a part of that, right? So some people do shut themselves away because they are ashamed or because of fear. They don't want to be seen for some of what they are involved in. I get that. So, and some people, they need to be in the company of like-minded people, or to find a group of people who are doing similar things. Maybe they'll search for outreach for like a
Mhm.
group of women or a group of men who are on a similar path, and can I join you guys? You
Sure.
guys are keeping a journal, you're keeping each other accountable,
There you
and
go.
all that. That's beautiful as well. But ultimately, self-efficacy, right, and self-awareness is not something that somebody else can do for you.
Absolutely not. You are correct. You are correct with that.
That's a personal, that is like that, and that's a place where if you are a believer like we are, we know in that silent place who we are communing with,
Mhm.
right? We know in those silent spaces who we're communing with. So when I go into a solitary place, then I know that, okay, God, I need that. I need you to intervene and convene, because I hear a lot of noise going on.
No, no. Yes, ma'am.
And
So right there, just because I've been there, but I can imagine other people as well. Um, you talked about there are some things that you have to do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so support and accountability is huge.
Yes.
It is huge. And I'll just use for an example, even with this intermittent fasting for 28 days, the first thing I did was reached out to my best friend and I said, listen, for accountability, I'm going to do this because I don't want to disappoint myself. And then
Mm.
I went on my healthy page and did a quick little video. I'm like, I'm gonna put myself on blast because I don't want people to say, oh, she's not doing anything. She's a liar. Um, but you're right. You do sometimes need the support or the accountability, but nobody can get you there. Like going back to the first thing you said motivate or knowing your motive, what your why is. So I'm just listening to what you're saying, and we're not even getting to like a physical action. Right now, we're still wrapping our head around what is my why? What is my motive?
Yes, your mindset,
Yeah.
psychological,
Yeah,
psychology.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I
because that
find, go ahead, Tim.
no, because that's binding. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Your mindset, if your mindset is off, then you have to find your way back to center. If you've never been there before, then maybe you might need assistance getting there,
that is true.
whether it's through a support system, whether it's through a minister, or whether it is through a mentor or therapist and things
Yes,
like that. Because
absolutely.
as Black folks, we've been through a lot of trauma.
That is true.
A lot of intergenerational trauma and racial retention trauma. It's in our blood. You know what I mean? So, and so much of what we suffer with is based on those things. So it can manifest in terms of heart disease and
Yeah.
hypertension and diabetes. So sometimes, and this is, a bit off topic, but sometimes the kind of diseases or diseases that we have in our body is because of psychological conditionings and trauma,
Yes,
unresolved and intergenerational trauma.
absolutely. Absolutely. And we don't even realize, the PTSD
Oh my goodness.
that has maybe even come, we don't even think about it. I went to a holistic doctor. She took my fingerprints, she did blood work, she measured my limbs,
Wow.
and they can tell you in what trimester your mother had trauma. Now, I was like, wait, that's magic. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying it.
Right.
So, there are things that are there, and that's just trauma during pregnancy. And we really don't know what our moms felt or endured while they were even carrying us, which is also, it's a reason of why we deal with what we deal mentally, emotionally, what we feel, and then the things like you said that have come down from generation to generation. So you really have to take some time to find you, and then make a determination. Like I know certain sicknesses, on my mother's side. I don't know a lot about on my father's side, but I made up my mind. There's some things that are not going to happen to me. So that means that I have to take the responsibility and deal. I got to find out how to overcome.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
to conquer because I
Yes.
refuse to have certain things. And I know you know this, Tiffany, but it amazes me that there are some people that accept. So, for instance, there's a part of North Carolina, it might be the whole state, but there's a part of North Carolina. There's a set of people that they just believe, oh, well, everybody gets diabetes here.
Wow.
So you're like almost looking for it to come.
Yeah.
But then you don't do anything about your meals. You don't do anything about change. And the other part is it's all intentional. They have signs that wave over their heads. They don't even pay attention. And we were driving through one part and that we saw different sections of North Carolina that had a big diabetes sign up there. I'm like, that's the
Mm-hmm.
banner that's waving over your head because it might be off topic, but actually it's not because if you discipline yourself, you don't have to go that route. But it's intentional because it's big money.
Yes.
It's big money for pharmaceuticals. let me tell you, those insulin things, that if you don't have insurance, I don't know how you do it. Okay, back to you. Back to you.
No,
Back
no,
to
no, no, please. No, by all means. I love this. I love this back and forth because it's important, because you're so correct, because it's by design that once people become, sort of like resolved in their spirit
hmm
and indifference, that's what they want.
and that's across the board. I just gave one example, but it's with anything. It's with
Mhm.
the mindset. We were just talking before we came on how some people are used to leaning on someone else for support,
Right.
or whether it be financially, emotionally,
Yeah.
um, on the government. Uh, yeah. What are you gonna
Yeah.
do? What do
But
you?
see, but see, this whole idea of discipline has to begin with self.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
has to begin there. It has to be self-regulation, self-efficacy, self-awareness first,
Yes. Yes.
right? Even when we think about the word of God, it's like before we can become saved, we have to admit our wrongs. We got to confess. So it's the same kind of thing, before you can make any progress toward change,
hmm
have to have a self confessional of like, this is what I have been doing to hurt myself, and this is what I have been doing to hurt myself. But if we're defensive
Yes.
about it,
Yes.
then it's more difficult.
The acknowledgement is half the battle. Even with Alcoholics Anonymous and
Yeah.
different work programs, you state your name and why you're there.
Right. So
God
my name
said,
is so and so, and I'm an alcoholic. Right.
I'm a wretch undone. I am saved by grace. I
Exactly.
need Jesus.
We have to admit that in order to understand what it means to be disciplined. So it starts with self, right? And then that can be a process.
Mhm.
But see, when it comes to fitness specifically, when I said to you, I didn't know what discipline was,
Mhm.
well, it's because I love to sing and I am a singer. And
Sure.
when you are directly connected to something in a way that you don't need to be motivated by. For instance, you don't have to motivate people to go to a concert. People don't have to be motivated to go to a basketball game.
True.
People don't have to be motivated to go and we about to have this good, delicious meal or pizza. People don't have to be motivated to go to the bakery or to the ice cream shop or to things that are connected to our, what is the word I'm thinking of? I would say the things that we want,
Okay.
the things that satisfy our carnal selves.
I would say that right there, that and a quick gratification, instant gratification,
Right.
temporary gratification.
Exactly, because carnality is humanity. We
Absolutely.
are, but we are spiritual too. We are spirit as well too. So
Yeah.
I find that with discipline, you start tapping into self denial after you've become self aware of what it is that you're doing to harm yourself. Now you have to begin to deny yourself
Yeah.
of those things that were hurting you. So it's self aware. I know what is hurting me. Now I have to learn to self deny those things that my body is begging for because I have a goal and I need to reach that goal. Once you're in that space of self denial, then you have to, in some ways, almost die to your flesh.
I die daily. Go ahead. Never mind.
No, girl, I'm dying right now. Ooh,
What is this day for you?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I started, for those who out there who are watching, I started my bodybuilding regimen on Monday. And although my meal plan is 6 meals a day, it's a lot of food. It's a lot of volume. but it's low cal food. And so it's no more than about 1,500 calories a day.
So talk about that real quick. Just for the fitness side of folk, what does that look like?
Wow. Okay. So my nutrition regimen, I don't like to call it a diet regimen,
Yeah.
like my meal plan, right?
Yeah.
My meal plan, well, I'll talk about the one I have now because I've had hundreds over the years. It is a meal plan that probably has less than 100 grams of carbohydrates a day.
Okay.
100 grams of carbohydrates is something akin to maybe like a half a cup of rice and a 5-ounce sweet potato.
Okay.
Right. Or maybe like a big fat juicy green apple and a cup of brown rice, but something akin to that.
Okay.
So basically I have 2 servings of carbs a day.
Okay.
But they can't just be any carbohydrates, right? So carbohydrates are basically a macronutrient that when it breaks down, it converts to sugar or glycogen. And glycogen is stored in our liver. And when there's an overflow in the liver, it flows out into the bloodstream, right? And then our body has to secrete insulin to be able to control the sugar. And then it can start to store as fat or create problems for our fat cells to become more and more engorged. So when you eat carbohydrates, you may not be thinking, oh, this is sugar, or how does that convert to fat? But scientifically, that's what happens in our body. So as bodybuilders, we have to be very careful how much sugar we consume. Yes. Because we're trying to shrink our fat and feed our muscle. Shrink your fat and feed your muscle. So it's high protein, it's low carbohydrate, and it's low fat, right? So my meals now in the morning, I have 5 egg whites and a 5-ounce sweet potato. I get the liquid egg whites because it's easier. I don't got to waste all the yolks. If I try to waste no yolks. And my second meal is 6 ounces of white fish, sweet potato. My third meal is a protein shake before workout. My fourth meal is a protein shake after workout.
Okay.
My fifth meal is white fish and vegetables.
Okay, I get it. So let me just tell you what that gets you, everyone.
Whoa, wow, look at that girl. 2010.
2010. That's Tiffany in 2010. And so I understand that this may not be what you're working towards. However, what we're working to get across is that there is a discipline for whatever you want to accomplish.
Yes.
Let's talk about passion. That is something you said. Passion is what fuels you. And I hope I'm not jumping the gun because I listen. I took notes. We're doing solidarity. We're not isolating. We're centering ourselves, and we're becoming self-aware. And then we have to do self-denial. Die daily. Now that is Bible, but
that is straight up Bible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But it's so true. There's something. If you want to accomplish anything, there's going to be a death. One of the best things I could have done was to go back to learn how to read notes. So my death is my time. Either I'm going to get up early in practice or I'm going to stay up late in practice, but somewhere there's going to be a sacrifice.
I was thinking that's another word you should write down, says sacrifice.
Yes, ma'am.
It goes back to what I was saying about the time. It's like you have to have, a cutoff point. You might want to stay at the party longer, but you have to sacrifice that time. But let me tell you and I'm sure you feel it, what I feel in my body when I am cleansing is I feel more energy in my body.
Oh, yes.
I get the goosies.
You do. Can I tell you, it's just been 2 days that I've started the intermittent fasting and my energy spiked.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Fadette is asking, what's in your protein shake?
2 scoops of chocolate protein and 8 ounces of water. Child, we ain't talking about no smoothie. A smoothie is different from a protein shake.
Okay.
Yes, Lord. A smoothie might have a half of a banana. And for people who aren't doing what I'm doing, by all means,
Right.
you know, put some ice in there, throw some berries in, a half of a banana, a chocolate scoop of protein, right? Maybe even a tiny bit of honey and put that. But I can't have that for where I'm going.
Yes.
Right. So yeah. So what was your question, sis? You said something very specific.
I was talking about passion, and you said that it fuels you.
Yes. So my gift is my ability to sing and music. My passion is health and fitness.
Okay.
So when I think of the word passion, I think of a few things. I think of fire. I think of appassionata, which is this Beethoven piano sonata, and it's all over the place. It flies. I think about body. I think about the body of Christ, the passion of the Christ.
And
I think
that right there is great sacrifice and pain.
oh,
Great sacrifice and pain.
oh, can you imagine that's why I admire Jesus so much, because he felt some of that pain, but toward the end, I don't think he felt it anymore. I think when people experience a level of pain that's that severe, that they start to transcend, they start to become transcending in their spirit, because their spirit separates from their body and then the death happens, right?
I don't know at what point that happened, but a whole lot happened. A whole lot. And, you know, we get what they shared with us, but it could never equal the actual thing. I was speaking to a couple of people about Aretha Franklin and the series that they showed. And I was like, wow. But of course, that was for entertainment, just like some of the things that we see. I think the passion is the closest, of course, that's according to me, that you could possibly show, because the Bible says that he was marred far more than any other human. So even with what we see in the passion, it's still tolerable, but we probably would not be able to look on him with what they did to him. I mean, pulling hairs out of it. And so anyway, that is extreme passion.
That's extreme passion, right? Just like there are different levels to love. There are different levels to love. There are different levels to passion. It just depends on how far you want to go with these sacrifices. And so with what I do with bodybuilding, right, it's a privileged position of passion.
All right. Yes. and a choice.
Yes, I got a choice, right? So, you know, so I don't really give myself all that like, yay me, you're so great. It's like, nah, girl, it's you know, it's a little bit of something. But it's a privileged sacrifice of choice. And so passion for me, I think fire, I think heat, I think energy. I think of the place that you arrive once you have died to yourself, once you die to the body, right, and die to wants and carnality, you come to a place of energy. You get this extra energy, and you're not quite sure where you're getting that energy from, right? But it's a different kind of energy.
Yeah.
Like I feel really electric, but all I had today was, what did I eat? I had a protein shake, and I have 5 ounces of fish and a 5-ounce sweet potato. I'm kind of behind on my meals, actually, because I taught all day. But essentially, I have had less than maybe 500 calories today.
Okay.
Way less than. But you have something called basal rate. Your basal rate is the amount of calories you burn at rest. So our heartbeat, blood flow, and just the body doing its normal functionality, we burn calories. So everybody has a basal rate. For some people, it might be, if they're more sedentary, it may not be as high. But for someone like me, who's very, very active, and yourself, love, then our basal rate could be maybe 1,500 calories, or you know. So I know I have a caloric deficit, and I haven't even done any exercise, right? So for me, passion is what I feel. I feel the chills right now, because it's like when your body is not overloaded by junk,
Yeah,
you start to feel things that you
you
didn't
do.
feel before. First of all, you feel your stomach is in a normal position, right? You start to feel your body do this. Like there's this feeling of like it starts to constrict. Your muscles start to become more starved and your fat becomes more starved. And so your body starts to shrink, right? And so then you start to feel a bit more energy because muscles are vascular. Muscles are they're very feeling full.
Hmm.
Even people who say they get leaner and leaner, their libido goes high.
Hmm.
Everything starts to just feel more alive
That's true.
because your muscles are just underneath. So the way the body is set up, it's skin, it's subcutaneous water, it's fat, and then it's muscle. And we can see that on a piece of chicken when we're carving this fat off. We can see how the fat is closest to the muscle,
Hmm.
right? So you have muscle, fat, water, and skin. So just imagine when your water levels are less and when your fat starts to shrink, your essence or your muscles or your aliveness or your nerve endings start to become more present to the surface. And that's why we start to see definition.
Hmm.
Like I have this little line here in my body, right? That's only because of the exercise I do.
Right.
But if I were a bit thicker, like I was about 4 months ago, then you wouldn't see this definition. So basically, what
I can
happens,
do
you see what I'm
it.
saying?
No, no.
Yeah. He was like, I hear you, but no.
Maybe 20 years ago, but that line's been there.
Girl, that's from all them chest presses. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
And
yeah.
then the leaner I get, I start to see, I'll start to see like my collarbone, right?
Right.
It's not necessarily a good or a bad thing or for people to feel body shamed. I'm just saying when you start to shrink your fat, your muscle rises to the surface. So then you start to see more of your essence. And what I mean by that is you start to see high points in the body, like where the bone should be present. Hip
Hmm.
bone, collarbone, and places in the body that should be present.
Yes.
If you are at a healthy BMI,
Hmm.
body mass index.
Yes.
And for women, generally somewhere around 25%, a little less than 25% is the optimum number. But it could shift depending on a person's body type, right? So that means BMI, body mass index, 25% of your body is fat. And the rest is either lean muscle, your organs, and the rest of the weight. So let's say if you weigh, let's just say 100 pounds, just for the sake of math, 25% of 100 pounds, right, is what? 25.
Mhm.
So that means that 25% or 25 pounds of your 100 pounds is fat. And the other 75% is your muscle, your lean, your lean mass and your organs and things like that, right? So that person's at 25% body fat. So that's basically how you would calculate it if you wanted to give a number. But that's what I see passion as. And then when you're in that space of passion, it has to be that it is second or third stage to to what discipline brings. It's sort of like the result of living a disciplined life,
Mhm.
where you no longer feel the pain of hunger that you felt 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Your body begins to adapt to the self-denial, right, and self-denying of things. I was yesterday fine. Today was the most difficult. Like I really, because after the fourth day my body is like, wait, where is the grilled cheese? Wait, where is the sweet green juice? Wait, where's that big red juicy apple? Wait, where? And then the body starts to gain awareness of it, and then it has to go to other places in your body to satiate whatever its need is from stored up unused energy.
Yes. So I remember when I was going to the gym years ago, I remember there was a nutritionist who came in and he was saying that it's not about like working out hard one day and then, not going, and then maybe 4 days later you're working out hard again. He said that it needs to be consistency. The consistency is what does it. So talk to us about that.
Yes. So the consistency is really important because your body will start to change its body composition
Mhm.
completely. So, for instance, there are different body types. The three that I can think of, there is the ectomorph, a tall, lean, very skinny, kind of like Manute Bol, the old school basketball player, right? Ectomorphs. They have long arms, long legs, have long levers. Really hard for ectomorphs to gain muscles. It's hard for them, right? Then you have endomorphs, people who are more pear shaped.
Mhm.
Probably could be hereditary. It could just be because of their habits. And so you're sort of more rounder in the middle, right? And then we have people who are mesomorphs, who are more muscular in build.
Okay.
And over the years, my body has, and my body composition has settled into becoming more of a mesomorph, a person who has more muscle. And I'm a short girl too. So I have to be very careful what I eat over an extended period of time. That people don't develop a certain body type because of one bad meal
Mhm. True.
or even a month of bad meals. I mean, it's years and years of habits.
Mhm.
So say if it took you 5 or 10 years to develop a body type that is unfamiliar to you, because when you have an unfamiliar body type, you can feel like an imposter in your own body.
True.
You can really feel that way. Um, as soon as you start changing your habits, your body will shift. And if you do so at least 3 times a week,
Okay.
at least 3 times a week, your body will start to shift, right? And then it has to feel like it'll feel like a job in the beginning. You can't start the first of the year and then give up by the end of January.
True.
You have to go even when you don't go. One of the sayings that my trainer that he copped that I stole from him is fuel the desire until the desire fuels you.
Good.
Fuel the desire until the desire fuels you.
Love it.
So basically, that means if you're fueling the desire, you don't really feel like doing it, right? So you
True.
have to fuel it, right? You have to fuel that desire, fuel it by your actions, by your
Mhm.
discipline, by your self control. You fuel. After a while, the desire will start to fuel you.
This is true.
You'll get to a point where you don't need people to motivate you. You don't need a support group. It's nice, right?
Mhm.
You don't need these things, even if you still choose to be a part of the community and still have a trainer like myself.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I need that. And what comes out of that feeling of I don't have to have that, I don't have need of that to be able to survive, you start to develop a high level of self esteem and
Yeah.
self accomplishment, which is another sort of human need, right? To feel like I did that myself, you
That
know?
that is a superpower within itself.
Yeah, it
And,
feels
and
good.
whether you're doing fitness or you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I did that. I did it, and you begin to feel good about yourself. And that's an excellent segue into where I want to go because even though we are talking about fitness because this is Tiffany's passion, but Tiff, you've accomplished in so many other areas. So passion, discipline, focus. Um, you you speak at least 5 languages. You've got your doctorates. Um, I wrote it down. I don't know where I wrote it, but But I understand you accomplished. Talk to us about accomplishing. And now the principles go across the board. But just in case there are people listening who want to accomplish or they're not motivated, and it could be something as simple as I know I need to do better or do more, but I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck in my life. I need to make some changes.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to that person that I know I need, I can't stay comfortable here. I need to make a move.
Right. While to people who are stuck, like they've achieved a certain level of success and they feel like they're stuck there, or getting people to get started.
All around there, all around there, because you could be at a point where you need to go another direction, or I mean, we're always evolving, but you can get stuck, whether it's mentally or either even in your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And if those things can be a barrier for you to accomplish whatever it is, I just want to talk to somebody that's stuck, or you need to do more. You need to accomplish. You need to make changes for your life so you can have a better quality of life, or even
Right.
just encouragement, letting you know that it doesn't matter what your age is, you can accomplish whatever it is, whether it's your physical. I mean, if we go and do research, we will see people who have handicaps.
Mm-hmm.
I saw posted one time, I think it was I don't know, it was a girl, there was somebody who was actually playing the piano and they didn't have both of their arms. So just though there are some extreme cases where we really don't have excuses, but we'll look at it and be like, wow, what's my problem? But then we won't do something. So I want to talk to a person. I want you to speak to those that have the desire in their heads, but they stand in their own way.
Right. Well, my answer, I could give a more surface answer, but I'm such a deep thinker. So I'm gonna try to give both. First of all, we have to remember on whose shoulders we stand. Our ancestors, they really went through something. Okay. Just think about how our ancestors, some of them said that I'd rather die than be a slave, and they jumped ship, right, into that ocean. And the way our ancestors were packed into those ships like cargo, and many of them survived those voyages, right, to arrive in a land that was totally unfamiliar to them. We stand on those shoulders, right?
Or you stand on someone's shoulders if you are not African American. You have your own heritage and stories. So yes,
you have your stories, your families, like every ethnicity, even Europeans, they went through quite a lot in Europe before coming over to the United States.
Sure.
A lot of white people deal with a lot of trauma themselves, intergenerational trauma that happened well before coming over to America. So there's a lot of trauma there too. But in particular, we have to remember that where we are as a people, we are no longer where we were. Sometimes I think as Americans, because we have access to everything,
so much,
we can just Google it, ask Siri.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We walk around with computers in our pockets. Like we have access to everything. Alexa, do this. So we don't even really know how to sometimes find a level of motivation within us because we've become so dependent on things outside of us giving us answers and telling us where to go, right? We program the address, we program phone numbers. Who remembers phone numbers anymore? Who remembers how to go? I get lost all the time. I'm like, why am I lost? I have the GPS telling me where to go. So we're not even accustomed to using our minds. So one of the first things that came to my spirit when you were talking about this and formulating this question is be careful what you believe.
Mm.
That just hit my spirit. I had to let that. Be careful what you believe. Be careful what you ingest. Be careful what you absorb.
Oh, this is an echo. This is an echo. Go ahead. Go ahead. This is an echo.
Right, because those things can prevent you from living
Mm.
fully in your truth. Because what will take the form of truth is fear.
Yeah.
When we depend and believe in things and on things that become surrogates for us. And it's like, whoa, right? So that's where the discipline comes in. That's where the self sort of like defying self and dying to body comes in. Because when you die to body, you'll start to clearly see where you're stuck. You'll start to clearly see what happened that created this inertia in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be, fasting. It could be silence for a day. It could be reading a self-help book. It could be locking away and reading the word of God and just finding the inspiration for yourself, reading for yourself and getting your own understanding and praying if that's where you are in your life and in your spirituality, right? It could mean getting help as well from professionals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I have lots of clients, and a lot of our talks are not even about food.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I feel like a therapist. I'm like, that's not my job description, y'all. So that's why I share my experiences. I lead with those first.
Sure.
And to say, Brian, I lead with my stories and not with my accomplishments.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
I lead with my story. I lead with the power of the ancestors. I lead with my pain and hurt and all that. I lead with my humanity.
Mm.
I don't lead with accomplishments. Now, if somebody get it twisted, then I will pull those things out. And there are people where I have to reassert myself and say, you got me confused.
Mm-hmm.
I may not walk into a room like I'm the most important person in the room. It's
Right.
not how I lead, but don't get it twisted. First, I'm a child of God, and then I know what I know to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I lead with. So for people who feel stuck, think about what you have bought into believe, particularly with all this technology and social media and a lot of the noise. And make sure that you're not being fed by those things, because those places are very toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the positive stories are short-lived.
Right.
We read it and we're past it. Oh, that was fabulous. Oh, you go, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're on to the next thing.
Like, love, share.
Find something that is lasting
Mm.
to stand upon, right? What are your organizing principles?
Mm.
Do some research and find out what are our physiological needs as human beings.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have physiological needs, safety and belonging. Maslow is his name, psychological needs of human conditioning, right? There's been a lot of conjecture about his pyramid, but it's a starting point, right? It starts with physiological needs, and then the need for safety, right? And then the need for belonging and love, right? And then the need for accomplishments. And then at the very top is self-actualization or self-realization. And then transcendence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Transcending all of our personal and individual needs to think about the greater good. How now is what I've accomplished, how can I not now serve a much larger purpose? Because that's where we're going with all this.
That's good. Let me tell you why that's good. Is it because I have a group actually doing our personal mission statement right now. So it assists you with accomplishing when you first you got to know who you are. You know, what am I doing here? Why am I here? But just what you said, you just brought me right back to one of the assignments I gave out. You really do have to explore you, find out your strengths, your weaknesses, um, and really embrace your strengths, and use those to fuel yourself. And then the weaknesses, you can work on those, but really understanding you. um, One of the things that assists me, like every most people by now, I'll say 30 and up, sometimes not, but you do have an idea. Even I mean, very young, I had an idea of why I was here or what I was supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
And once you figure that out, it is very good to then begin to educate yourself in those areas, equip yourself in those areas. So, and then that's where the discipline comes in. So I'm finding that I am now at this time of my life going back to redo some things that I should have done earlier. Nevertheless, I'm still moving in my on my journey, but I went back. I'm
Yeah,
going back to further equip myself for what I know is my journey. So you really do have to, like, it's something that I can't get away from. Like, this is one of the, I am this. So I need to get everything under my belt and not let age be a barrier. Um,
exactly.
and you have desires, and if those desires are there, especially if they have been long lasting desires, and I just want to encourage people, if there's something that you've been, it's there, it's there, but you haven't activated it in your life, that's very, very important, to activate what you do. It needs to be activated, cultivated,
Hmm.
and then that discipline is so important. Um, Music is helping me across the board in my life, because there's a certain focus that you have to have.
Yeah.
There's a certain regimen, because a lot of times you're doing the same thing. And I'm the type of person, I get bored easily. But the internet now is amazing, because you can go do some research and somebody's doing some kind of a boot camp.
Oh, yeah.
They're showing you different ways of doing the same thing and strengthening different areas. So it's always good, whatever knowledge you're getting, to reinforce yourself with other information, so you don't get bored. There's a way to
Exactly.
make it happen. There's a way to make it happen. So I'm just
That's
always,
beautiful.
because I've been stuck, and sometimes been very dormant or very lax or passive,
Hmm.
about some things. So I'm not going to make a barrier for myself any longer. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to go back and master this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can either revisit your why, and I love that you have this group where you're having people write their mission. Because when I
Mhm.
founded my nonprofit organization, Gift Passion Purpose Project, I had to construct a mission statement.
Mhm.
And so that means you have to be clear about why your organization is necessary.
Mhm.
You have to be very clear. That's something that I learned late in life, because I was such an artist, fly by hip, fly by the hip, be free with it, keep it real. Yeah, just let your talent do. But
And
I'm
I hate to point the finger. You talked about the cultural thing earlier,
yeah,
and a lot of us really do, something that we hear all the time, in our community, is learn, unlearn, and relearn, because we've learned a lot of things that are not productive. Let me tell you, let me share an ignorance. And I love these people dearly, but I was literally told, um, well, you shouldn't go learn how to read notes because it's going to mess up your gift. Okay, on this side of that, I mean, I didn't understand when I was younger, but like now I'm like, well, why would you say that to me?
right.
So you have to really delete a lot of stuff from the past. And I shared
Exactly.
this, I believe, on the podcast that I did with Lisa Zaratni. I was saying how my grandmother was like my greatest supporter, but to a fault, because I still need you to tell me, okay, but you could do that better. All right, well, you didn't do it right. Go back and do it 3 more times.
Hmm.
I needed that. Like, don't just tell me, oh, everything is wonderful. And I know she didn't mean any harm because that was her way of building up my confidence.
Right.
But that can take away a certain level of excellence. I understand that on this side of it. So I find for me, I have had to retrain myself. Like I may do something and I'm like, okay, no, you could have done that better. And I'll make myself go back and redo it. Or always looking at what I did and doing the thing, what were the strengths, what were the weaknesses, those, reassessing it.
Right. And knowing what your strengths are, because sometimes if you are inefficient in certain areas, it can really just derail you altogether.
It can.
Right. So you have to know what you're good at and stay in your lane and just hone in on that, hone the craft.
You absolutely do. I know I'm going to go back and watch this. And I mean, I took notes, and I know there are other areas, and I want to come back and do this again. Matter of fact, I probably need to see if you're available for April 15th. So, guys, I'm going to say this now. On April 15th, I have 3 maestros coming on who have been playing well over 50 years. And the topic is talent is never enough. This is another great motivation. I am asking my students to come on because you can be gifted, and that can mean nothing. You can be so gifted, but if you don't know how to interact properly, if you're not timely, if you're not professional, there are so many other areas that can block you. Now, I'm dealing musically with that, but again, this goes across the board. This, little things like even because I'm in the church world. So if I'm playing for another church, or I'm going to sing for another church, or I am contracted by another ministry, I need to find out what's the heart of the leader, what's the culture of that community. Because if I just go in there and I'm putting my ways or my own things on it, it's just like going to work and you're bringing your way and not learning the culture of that organization. So we want to deal with talent is never enough. And talent is more than just music. And we said that before in gifting, but this is the vein I'm taking it because I'm so where I'm at. I found it. I keep saying it over. So this is why I know it's really on me. It is my job now. It's my assignment. I accept it to pour into the next generation because they are so gifted. They're coming out of the womb. I am amazed with these babies who can take your phone and go to YouTube. My granddaughter has been doing tablets and stuff, and I'm like, her little finger. So they're so gifted and so talented. But that's not enough for them to be successful, because if nobody can get along with you, what people dealt with back in the day, let's say Aretha was a force to reckon with. And there are other artists. And I have to say, and this is nothing on you, Tiff, but that whole diva attitude that artists had, it is so... we're over it. Like nobody wants to deal with somebody that they can't get along with. So we want to talk about talent is never enough. I have 3 wonderful people, and Tiff, if you are available, I would love for you to come on, because actually I'm going to be the only female, so I would love for you to come on anyway. Our experiences, because there's one gentleman I know, his discipline level. There were, yes, attitude is everything. Absolutely. There's one gentleman that's going to be coming on, Colin Haywood. When I was coming up and I was playing, I would say, Colin, can you show me something? Can you teach me? Colin would be, and I can't remember exactly, but I know it was every Monday he would be at his father's church. And let's just say from like 2 to 6 every Monday without fail. And any musician could come in and just watch him, just get it all. That's a discipline. That's discipline. And he did that for years.
Wow.
He did it for years. So if you want to be motivated with tenacity and stick it to it to this.
Yes. And I mean, and this is true with a lot of women, going all the way back to even like a Bessie Smith in the 1920s and 30s. So many women had to develop this really hard exterior
It's true.
because of how they were being treated. And Bessie Smith used to carry a gun. She had to protect her body, her money, her train, her belongings.
She was something.
So a lot of women, they come up in the industry and they feel like they have to have this really hard exterior to protect themselves from being abused, right? And then it can start to take on a whole persona, and then it's a bit too much for everybody involved.
And it's we really have to be grounded. I purposely watched Aretha Franklin's series. I think it was on National Geographic. It might be on Hulu.
Is it? Yeah, because I want to watch it. I haven't been able to catch it. It's on Hulu.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's called Aretha, and then it says Genius. And this particular series, there are 3 things that's up there right now. So you have to go into it and look for her episodes. Mm-hmm. They did one on Picasso, one on Einstein, and one on Aretha. And Aretha for many years had kind of a rough edge around her. I could tell that I could sense. I always look beyond the singer, and there was like a defensiveness. But when you go and look at her story, you fully understand
why. That's why I wanted to interject and put that in there, because especially as women in the industry, I don't care if it's in the gospel industry or in the pop industry, we have to be very vigilant.
Absolutely.
A lot of different situations. We have to be very vigilant. And even as a classical singer, I've had some situations where I'm like, maestro, no. You know what I mean? So I've had some situations. Yeah. So as women, we go through a lot. And so we will put on this exterior, and then you hear about people who knew them. They were like, no, they were really lovely. I thought they were lovely. Right. Kathleen Battle, case in point, opera singer. She was one of the only singers, or maybe the second in history, to be let go from the Metropolitan Opera. Wow. And this happened around like 1995, 94, 95, somewhere around in there. And it was a big, big, big scandal about it, because she had a reputation, I guess, of not being nice. Or
is this the one that Joel plays for?
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Right. But my question was, what happened to her? Like, what did she go through? What did she endure?
Yeah.
Why did she have to put on that air and personality? Because it kept people away from her. She was able to keep a certain boundary. But you know what? I just think, especially when you are a member of a community of people who have had struggles, right? You have to operate in certain spaces. And in these spaces, if they're toxic spaces, you get in those spaces, you feel triggered. And so you start to develop some kind of an exterior where it says, don't come near me, right? You only are going to talk to me about business. Right? And some women have had to do that. And there are other women who have been devoured by it because they feel like that's part of the industry.
Sure.
Them as well. And I know that's a whole nother topic, but it's important to talk about those things as well too when we talk about it takes more than talent. And for some people, that could mean more than a lot of things that we should not have to sacrifice. And that's a whole nother topic, but it's legitimate to talk about, because
it definitely is.
In the industry, it does take more than talent. It takes a lot of other things that some people are willing to dive into, and other people are like, no, I don't want fame and fortune that bad.
Yeah. There's one of our viewers said, women have had to work harder to be accepted, respected, appreciated when it comes to being successful. And that is true, Afia. And that's at work, at play. Yeah.
Of course, that's a whole word. And then if you're a Black woman, you get paid the least amount on the dollar of any group. right? So we talking about metrics here. We not, we're inclusive in our conversation, but we're just talking about facts, right? And that is all by design. It's oppressive. It's oppressive. So, that's why I decided to be an opera singer instead of, R&B, because when I used to sing at the Apollo Theater, when I was in high school, I sang at the Apollo 5 different times. And I was like, oh, you got to be too something. Because my mother was like, when you get on stage, you got to get down. I was like, what? I just want to sing. I just want to sing. I don't want to do none of that. I don't want to shake that. I just want to sing. And it worked for me. There are some people who have gifts like that, like Whitney Houston, case in point. All she had to do is stand and sing for a long time until she felt like I have to dance a little bit and be a little more R&B.
She did a little bit.
She started doing it, but earlier on, please, girlfriend was like, I want to dance with somebody, and she was barely dancing in the video. Why? Because she sang the mess out of it. So there are some performers where the voice does all the speaking for them. And then there are others where they have to be a bit more. So that I would love to be a part of that conversation so we can bring that piece into it.
Yes,
so
I think it's
male dominated.
Yeah, I was just gonna roll with the guys, but let me bring some more estrogen over here with this testosterone.
Yeah. They need it.
Well, Dr. Tiffany, you are always a joy, always a wealth of knowledge. It's always just good to sit and to hear and to learn. I am always just amazed because I did not, and I know she doesn't lead with her accomplishments. I'm putting them out there. Well, I put a few of them out there, but I've known her over 20 years and have seen some of her processes. So I just think it's absolutely amazing. And, I wanted you to come because someone can look at you and say, you know what, I can do more. And I think that's what While We Wait is all about for me, being inspired, being motivated, being empowered. Because our life is not over until we let it be over. Honestly, if I'm still here at 95, 99, I hope I'm still, if it's nothing else but just spitting out wisdoms. Let it be so. Let it be so.
Mm-hmm.
Like Maya Angelou. Can you imagine just sitting there listening to her? Like,
just taking
I saw her in person, and she came out and sang about 5 different songs in 5 or 6 different languages. And I was like, wow.
She was a performer, right? She was a performer. And I'm going to say this last thing. I kind of lost my train of thought. But when it came to like a Maya Angelou, for instance, she was a singer and a poet and an activist.
Yes.
She was all those things. And that's why when I talk about the ancestors, right, I'm not talking about it in a magical way. I'm talking about it in a visceral way. The things that we have to learn from people who came before us is the magic sauce.
You know what? You're so talking right, because Aretha Franklin, and I not to tell, it's just true. So I'm not telling you. You can. She was an activist, and she wanted to get involved because she was like, I have a platform. I need to do more because of what was happening in the world. And I think that's when we came into the pandemic, I started saying, what can I do? And that's how I got here, because I know there were people who were not connected to anything or anybody, or just, so I was like, if I can just, honestly, if I can come on just to have someone be connected for just this space of time, that was important to me. That was very, very important to me.
Interconnectivity, exactly, because that is what makes us human. I'm telling you, that's why I adore my mom so much, because that's the sauce, that's the motivation, that's the why. I think the why is in the things that came before us, because when you look in the past, you can correct the present into the present. You can make corrections, you can recast, retell, reformulate, and heal from those stresses. Sure. And stress is not a bad thing. Stress becomes a bad thing when it stops moving through, when it is not metabolized.
Wow. Say that again. Hold on, say it again.
So stress is not a bad thing because it is an indication that something is off, which means we need to go in a different direction. When we ignore the stress, right? So there is dirty pain and clean pain. That dirty pain is stress that has been unresolved. It is stress that has not been metabolized, right?
Right.
Stress is bad when it has not been digested and dealt with and worked through.
You know where I can put right with that? It sounds just like emotions.
It's like currency. It got to move. It got to keep moving. That's why they call it currency. It has to exchange hands. It has to move. Stress has to move. Emotions have to move.
Yes.
Anything that is stuck, and this ties into what you said, when people are stuck, why are they stuck? Because something is not being metabolized.
Yeah.
Something is not being digested.
Yeah.
Something is stuck. And you guys sit still and figure out what is it that's putting me in this stuck place, because nobody has the magic answer.
No. So interesting. There's a naturopathic doctor that I used to go to, and he used to actually put his hands, I don't know what you call it, but I remember like he was moving in, if there was stress in your body, he was moving like negative
Energy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember like my leg jumping. I was like, what is
They call them chakras.
Okay,
Energy.
well, he shocked my leg because it was moving. I'm like,
Right? It's speaking in tongues. It's a different tongue.
I left out of there. I was like, I mean, you're just like so. Anyway, guys, I could do this with Tiffany. I could do this
we'll be
all day.
Thank you, love.
We will be back with Tiffany Renee Jackson. Thank you so much, Tiff, for coming on. I love you so much. And we're going to do this again real soon, April 15th. And don't worry, I'm in touch with you.
Stop me out.
Thank you so much.
Remember.
Thank you.
Love you.
Well, viewers, thank you for hanging out with me. I know we went a little over, but I just, she's got so much in her and I wanted to share. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Stress has to move. Let's get unstuck. Hello, Monique. Absolutely. Let's get unstuck. Tiffany's backstage doing a dance. So yes, stress has to move. Let's get unstuck. If you didn't get anything else out of today, that right there was major. That was absolutely major. And yes, I'm going to have Tiffany back with the three maestros. That's what I call them, who will be speaking about talent is never enough. And I know there's a book by John Maxwell called Talent is Not Enough. And that's an absolutely wonderful read. We're actually going to have these gentlemen come on and here we go. I'm going to have to. So this is for April 15th. Talent is Never Enough with Colin Haywood Jr., Julian Varner, and Michael Lloyd. And these gentlemen have been playing for over 50 years. I know Julian Varner is classically trained and he started playing when he was 4 years old. I'm not certain. I know Mike and Colin are, they are church musicians. I'm not certain about their other training, but they are all absolutely amazing. And then on next week, will you please share the information? I will be on for about 45 minutes. My birthday is April 9th, but we're going to celebrate during While We Wait, April 8th at 4:30 right here on While We Wait. It's going to be an afternoon of music, celebration, some entertainment, and a couple of people are going to say something nice about me, and I'm going to say something nice about some people. So please come and join me for this birthday celebration broadcast. That's next Thursday. I hope you can show up and celebrate. I love life. I love laughing. I am laughter. I used to be, people used to call me goofy when I was younger, and but I'm so okay with that now. I enjoy being goofy because there's so much that we could cry about. So laughter is wonderful. Laughter is absolutely wonderful. Yes, party! All right, guys, it's been absolutely wonderful. Please give me feedback, like and share. I'm working to build up my numbers. I just want to connect. This is not for any other reason, but wanting to connect, wanting to share some good news, some good people, some good information. Just remember, be strong, be wise, and keep enhancing your life because life is worth living while we wait, and we are all waiting for something. So next week, April 8th, 4:30. 5:30 right here. Let's do it again. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you, Facebookers. Thank you, YouTubers. I'm so grateful that you're here. And please come back. Please, please, please.
I stay wise. I live hands my life. I stay strong. I stay wise. I live hands.